Hey everyone, Comic Order 410 here. I hit a sale this month, and as usual, I did some digging in the discount bins. But before I get into that, I want to thank my good friend Tom Ryan because not only did we do another trade, but since I was unable to attend East Coast Comic Con this year, Tom was nice enough to tell me go ahead and send him some books and he would get them signed for me by some great artists who I've never had the pleasure of meeting. So thank you so much for that, Tom. There's going to be a link below to Tom Ryan's channel. If you haven't had the pleasure of watching his videos, please go check him out and give him a sub. You won't be sorry. But first off, Tom took my Punisher War Journal #2 and got it signed by Carl Potts, who did this beautiful cover. And I never really realized it until he told Tom, and Tom pointed it out to me. He said, this is his Punisher homage to Clark Kent changing into Superman, which totally makes sense. Very cool cover. Thank you for that, Tom. We did a trade, as I said. He sent me Ghost Rider Annual 1. It's still sealed in its original poly bag. Sent me this beautiful prestige format collection of Twisted Tales with this stunning Dave Stevens cover. We're both big fans of his work. One of the greatest artists ever to grace the comic book industry, in my opinion. Tom also sent me this Sheena #1 in 3D. Another stunner of a cover by Dave Stevens, and as you can see, drawing women is his forte, and I think he's as good as any comic artist at drawing women. Beautiful stuff. Tom sent me a bunch of Ren and Stimpies that I needed. Issue #7. Issue #19. These may not be in order. Sorry about that. The Ren and Stimpy show special, Force Works, and it's obviously a cover swipe to Fantastic Four #1. Very cool cover. Ren and Stimpy #22. #21. #20. Marvel Age 121 with a Ren and Stimpy preview in it. And Ghost Rider issue #50. So thank you for helping me out with those, Tom. Did a big boost there to my Ren and Stimpy run. And the other two books that Tom got signed for me, I'm a huge Joe Jusko fan. Been a fan of his since I was a kid and I saw his covers on Savage Sword of Conan. I had a pretty hard time narrowing down what to get signed by him, but Tom was nice enough to take my Silver Surfer Judgment Day and get this gorgeous Joe Jusko cover signed for me. He texted me the day of the convention and said, sorry, the signature got smudged. It's very slight. It's not bad at all. And of course, I told him no worries about that. I've done that to my own books a few times. I smudged my Pro #1 that Amanda Connor and Garth Ennis and Jimmy Palmiotti signed, and I accidentally smudged my Green Lantern Blackest Night #1 when I got Ivan Reis and Joe Prado to sign it. So it happens. No big deal, Tom. I really appreciate it. And I really had trouble picking out what Conan cover I wanted Jusko to sign, so I picked out this one, Savage Sword 191. Beautiful, beautiful cover, and Joe Jusko signed it right there. So thank you so much for those, Tom. A couple more books that were in on our trade. Tom and I both collect Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, and he sent me issue #25 with this stunning Earl Norem cover. Another one of my favorite artists. Did not have that issue. And I did not have this Rampaging Hulk #8. 10-bar painted cover there. Very nice. Thank you for those. And this wasn't in on my trade with Tom, but I bought this recently, got a very good deal on it. It was actually thrown in for free on a purchase I made. Marvel Preview #5, Part 2 of the Sherlock Holmes Hound of Hell, which is basically a Hound of Baskervilles. They both had great covers, as many Marvel mags usually do. Grabbed, these were dirt cheap because they're in rough condition, but I think I paid $4 or $5 for the pair of these. Got Walt Disney's Adventures of Tinkerbell. It's a Dell 4-color. Great cover. I'm a big Disney fan. And then I got Walt Disney's Man in Space, a science feature from Tomorrowland, which was pretty cool because I was just in Tomorrowland back in April. So very happy to get those. As my friend Hippie says, no condition, or rough condition is better than no condition. So my birthday was Saturday, and I took some of my birthday money and splurged and got this. I've been wanting this book for a long time. for several years I've been trying to find a decent copy of this for under $100, and it just wasn't going well. I saw this 9.6 that I got definitely under market value. Still didn't get a great deal. I paid $160 for this and that Sherlock Holmes Marvel preview. So it was slightly under market value, but not the best deal. But I just finally broke down and wanted it. I needed it not only for my He-Man collection. It was one of 4 issues of DC Comics Presents I was missing for my full run, and the only one that's remotely expensive that I still needed. But for a 9.6, most of them on eBay after shipping would have run me over $200. So I just bought this off a local dealer, and very happy to finally own that book. I remember as a kid, my friend Scott had this, and seeing that He-Man crossed over with Superman just blew my mind as a little kid, and I had to read it. And to my knowledge, Masters of the Universe never crossed over with anything else outside of their, isolated universe continuity until a year or two ago when they did the DC Universe versus Masters of the Universe miniseries. So, very cool. Very happy to have that book finally knocked out. Next up, did some discount bin digging. And most of these were $1. Some of the later issues were more, but he gave me a really good deal on, I believe they were like 70% off sticker. Found a nice copy of Transformers number 8 in the dollar bin. First appearance of the Dinobots. Trying to finish up this run. Found Transformers number 12 in the dollar bin. Really love this Herb Trimpe cover. Optimus Prime Autobot Killer. I needed to get a reader copy because a couple years ago I was lucky enough to get my copy signed by the late great Herb Trimpe. Got number 14 in the dollar bin. 16, 20, 21. Some of these were upgrades because I actually had, as a kid, I had a mail-in subscription for G.I. Joe and Transformers, and they would get stuffed in my parents' mailbox in a manila envelope. So some of my original copies are kind of rough, but upgrades for $1 can't be beat. 27 found in the dollar bin. 32. 30. And these weren't in the dollar bin, but he gave me a big discount. This is Transformers 53. I believe this might be a Jim Lee cover. I'm going to have to look it up. But this was only a couple bucks because it has some small spine ticks. Not too bad, though. Nice copy of number 70. Again, these weren't priced that reasonably, but they've been in the shop so long, he basically gave me like 60 or 70% off. Number 75, and you're getting near the end of the run where these issues started to become low print run. It wasn't selling well, and it was getting ready to be canceled. So a lot of the later issues are kind of expensive and high grade. Number 76. Number 77. 78. And you can see the reason I got a good deal, slight discoloration up here in the white. And number 79, this is the next to last issue, had some really bad discoloration, but I couldn't complain for the price. I will upgrade that because I already have a near mint copy of Transformers 80, so getting close to finishing that run. A couple more books I found in the discount bin here. Got Sergio Aragonis, Louder Than Words, number 1. Big fan of his. And number 2 for $1 each. Actually, I think these were in the 50-cent bin, actually. Yeah, they were 50 cents. Got a second print of New Mutants 100 for 50 cents. Clandestine number 1 with a Alan Davis cover and those gimmicky 90 foil covers, that everyone either tremendously loves or tremendously hates, but I'm a big fan of those cheesy gimmicks from the 90s myself. Got Justice League Quarterly number 1 for 50 cents. Beautiful Kevin Maguire cover. That's an homage to his Justice League number 1 cover. Got another copy of Wolverine 50. Again, another 90s gimmick. This die-cut cover. Really like that. And it's either 50 cents or $1, but near mint copy, so I grabbed it. Got a DC First number 1. beautiful Batgirl and Joker cover by Kevin Nolan, and Bill Sienkiewicz worked on this, and Mr. Strangers in Paradise himself, Terry Moore, worked on this, so I had to grab that one. Another one I found in the dollar bin. This is by both Greg and Tim Hildebrandt. So, you know I'm a big fan of theirs. Had to pick up this Painkiller Jane versus Darkness #1. Gorgeous cover. Back in the day at Baltimore Comic Con, you used to get a different program if you were on the VIP list. And this is just a program, but the regular 2001 program was Liberty Meadows by Frank Cho. Still had a beautiful cover. But this had a Virgin cover by Jim Steranko, and you know I'm a fan. Didn't have this from that year. I didn't get a VIP ticket that year, so I was very happy I stumbled across this for $1. Not going to leave that there even if I already had it. This is the variant to Hardware #1. Got that for $1. This one, my shop only charged me a couple dollars. I believe it was $5 or $6 for these next 3 books. And this is Witchblade Animated #1. When they find signed books that don't have COAs, they just give them to me cheap. And was happy to get this one because it is signed. It's hard to see down here. Signed by Paul Dini. I looked up his signature. It looks legit. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him. So that's my first Paul Dini signed book. And if the signature's not real, I didn't even pay cover price. So also got the Ultimate X-Men Annual 1 signed by Brandon Peterson, and Ultimate Fantastic Four Annual 1 also signed by Brandon Peterson. So couldn't argue with that. Finish off here. My shop pulled this beautiful Jim Steranko variant to Captain America #1 for me. They were cover priced. They're going for a bit more, as me and Hippie had discussed. This book shot up quick, and it should, because Steranko's covers are beautiful, and the art that this man can crank out at his age, you know, Manny NYC also mentioned this. The stuff that he draws at his age is mind-boggling. It's beautiful, and at an age where a lot of people can't sign their name properly, his covers and his signatures are still a work of art. Got the Neil Adams variant to Scooby-Doo Apocalypse #1. Got Wacky Raceland #1. I didn't buy any of the variant covers. I wasn't that impressed with them. Read this. It's not too bad, but not great either. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with this. Did not like it anywhere near as much as Future Quest, but it's a cool idea, and the vehicle designs are awesome. Picked up this Dark Knight Returns Last Crusade 1 in 10 variant with this gorgeous Lee Bermejo Joker cover. And they had 10 on it, but he gave it to me for cover price. But cover price on this is like $6 or $7 anyway. So, but always thankful for the way my shop hooks me up. Found an upgrade, a near mint copy of Viz Comics Fist of the North Star #1 for $2. So had to grab that, couldn't let it pass. And I stuck this in here because I wanted to touch on this really quick. In the 80s, Viz Comics, they were the American publisher for the vast majority of manga that got sent over here. And this is Battle Angel Alita #1. And the reason I'm showing this is it's a great, great book about a female cyborg. But there's about to be hype around this book. It's kind of already started on eBay a little bit. They've greenlit a movie, and the girl, I'm forgetting her name, the girl from Maze Runner, was cast as Alita. But the big news to me is James Cameron is producing it, and Robert Rodriguez is directing it. And that has Blockbuster written all over it. Since it's been announced, I've watched this go from dollar bin fodder to... What's interesting is I don't see near mint copies for sale. I've been trying for the past 3 or 4 weeks to find a near mint upgrade to mine. Mine's not too bad. It's probably like a VF to a VF plus. But this book is just hard to find to begin with, and really, really hard to find high grade copies. I've been watching copies in the fine to fine plus range sell for $30 and $40 on eBay. So if hype picks up on this book, it's going to be a real struggle for people to find high grade slabbed copies of it. But I'm on the hunt, but I seeing what people are paying for fine copies and everything right now, I think I'm just happy with the one I have. But keep your eyes out for this. This is the volume 1, number 1. They did a few volumes and started the renumbering over at number 1. So if you're looking for first American appearance, this is the book you want. Great stuff. While we're on the subject of Japanese comics, this has a funny backstory some of you may or may not know. Got this Incarnate set of 1 through 3. I believe it might have been $15, but it wasn't more than $20. They gave me a good break on everything I bought. But these are beautiful near mint copies, and prices on these books, I've seen them all over the place. I've seen them go for like $20 raw up to, $100 or a little more for high grade slabs of each issue. And the story behind this book, it's quote unquote written by Nick Simmons, who's Gene Simmons' son. And those of you that know about this book will remember when it came out, first he took it to IDW and Nick wrote and drew it himself. And IDW claimed they passed on publishing it because his art was too scratchy and they told him to clean it up and start over. And he found Radical Comics, who agreed to publish it, but they brought in Nam Kim to help clean up the artwork. Once this was published, and I'll try and find a link to one of the articles because it is really stunning, the level of plagiarism here. Nick Simmons had directly taken panels from very, very popular mangas, Hellsing and most frequently Bleach. And to take from those two, which are pretty well known and popular even here in the States, was a pretty ballsy move. And he got busted, he got sued, and they stopped production on this book. So these books are kind of sought after for the scandal. My understanding is they're pretty rare. I don't know the exact print run, but hard to find, and it's a pretty funny and pathetic story for somebody that rich to outright steal other people's artwork. It's pretty shocking. If I can find it, I'll link the article in this description. But I've been looking for him for a while. I just wasn't going to pay a lot for him because I don't respect what he did, but found a good deal, which, basically cover price. But that's Incarnate number 1 with stolen artwork. Incarnate number 2. And issue number 3, the final issue. So I was glad to find them on a good deal. Also got this, my buddy Ira, I passed on this at first. This is a near mint copy of Demon Annual number 2. It's first appearance of Garth Ennis's Hitman. And my good buddy Ira told me, he's like, if you see a near mint copy of that for 15 or 20 bucks, you might want to grab it. And since John McCrae's doing my show in September, I decided to get this, and I appreciate the recommendation, Ira. I'm going to give it a read before I get it slabbed, so may not get the best grade, but I'm going to read it and see how it is. So thank you for that recommendation, Ira. I always appreciate your help. Got pretty nice copy of Incredible Hulk 162. This is the first appearance of Wendigo. This was about $30, I believe. After the discount, it has some slight discoloration along the top, some minor spine ticks, but it's a pretty nice copy. Very fine plus to near mint minus. Probably closer to very fine plus. Got this for $10. Superman 317. Legendary Neil Adams cover. It presents beautifully. It's hard to see. There's a small kind of tear there above the staple. That's why it was so cheap, but I'm not going to leave that there for 10 bucks. And last but not least, talked them down on this. I believe they had 20 on it, and I got it for 10. I've been wanting this giant-sized Marvel superheroes featuring Spidey fighting Morbius and Man-Wolf on the cover. Always wanted this one. It's not too bad. Has a chip out of the spine and some spine rolling, as you will often see, as I've said many times. These Marvel giant size, if there's going to be a defect on the cover, 9 times out of 10, it has to do with that binded spine there. So for 10 bucks, wasn't leaving that there, and the front cover is very clean. So happy to have that. Everyone, thank you for stopping by as always. I always appreciate your time. Excuse me. Go give Tom Ryan a sub if you haven't. Tom, thank you again, buddy. Appreciate it. Everyone, take care of yourselves and enjoy your comics.